Our theme for today is prayer and solitude, and part of what we're going to see throughout our series is how so many of the spiritual disciplines complement each other and go well with each other. And with solitude, part of what we see is how fasting and prayer and silence all really serve to go together. Listen to our two brief scriptures from Matthew and Luke about what Jesus says and does. He says, "And whenever you pray, don't be like the hypocrites, for they love to stand and pray in the synagogues and on the street corners, so that they may be seen by others. Truly I tell you, they have their reward. But whenever you pray, go into your room and shut the door, and pray to your Father who is in secret, and your Father who sees in secret will reward you." And then over in Luke chapter 5, verse 16, it says, "But he would withdraw to deserted places and pray." So Jesus, we see in his own life, and I'll share this in the sermon that you've now already hopefully heard, Jesus repeatedly took time, as Luke says here, to go off by himself to have time in solitude and prayer with God. And this is part of how he renewed his own spirit. It's how he restored himself. It's how he received encouragement and continued guidance from the Father. And Jesus encourages us in Matthew chapter 6 to also carve out similar times for ourselves. Because one of the main purposes of solitude is to help us focus exclusively on God, to get away from everything else and everyone else in our life, and to be alone with God so that God can speak to us. It's part of why silence is connected so much with solitude, because when we're with other people, so often we're speaking or someone else is speaking. It's tough to be quiet. If I were to pause and not to say anything for the next 60 seconds, it would feel uncomfortable, just taking 60 seconds of silence. But often we need to be quiet and to let things settle in our own spirit. Because part of what you will discover when you take time in solitude and silence is how much noise there really is inside your head and your heart and your spirit. And there's a lot of things that will clamor for your attention. There'll be voices like, "What are you doing? You can't sit here. You don't have time for this. Think of all the things you need to do. Think of all the tasks you have to get done." Taking time in solitude and prayer is a way of saying to those voices, "You'll have your moment, but right now I need to listen to God." I encourage you to take even a few minutes today, beyond our time, in some solitude and silence with God.